JR, can a person with a mental illness have good mental health?
Whoa, that's a tricky one. We'd have to have a discussion about mental health versus mental illness before I can answer that.
Oh my gosh, we're having the same dream because that's the conversation we're having today.
Dish. Dish.
Hey y'all, it's Onika.
And JR.
And you are dishing with Dainty Dish. You know what? I'm not even asking you how you're doing, JR, today, because I see you right now. I see what you're doing. I see what you're up to. You're potting and cooking at the same time. What are you cooking?
I'm attempting to make a vegan mac and cheese.
Oh my gosh, this multifaceted SOB. I can't believe him. He's so good. It's our dinner.
We're tight for time right now. We got to do things at the same time. We got to multitask.
Multitask.
That's the word. Yeah.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that going on right now. But how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I mean, everything's good. It's a long weekend, I think, right now.
Victoria Day weekend.
Yeah,
it's
for
the
us,
Monday. It's not a holiday for us. We still work.
Oh no, it's a holiday.
It's a holiday, but we're working right now. We're putting in the work.
Who's working?
We're potting. I just learned that word from you.
This is working.
This is good. The good kind of work. The work you enjoy.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, I didn't actually work today. I had a day off.
Yeah.
I'm working. I go back to doing the real stuff tomorrow. I took a day off today.
Okay.
I'm doing good though. Yoga this morning. All the good things in life. So I have good mental health, I think is the way to say it. And I do not have any mental illnesses currently. That's just the way. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it. I heard a ding.
You heard that ding?
I heard a ding.
Okay. Just see, the problem is
I heard a ding.
We're recording this on my laptop today, and my laptop is connected to my iMessage.
And he's very popular.
And I seem to be very popular right now, and but yeah, nonetheless, I don't have any mental illnesses, but I do have good mental health.
So you have high mental health, but low to no mental illness.
Yes.
That's basically.
But you asked the question, can you have a mental illness and have good mental health? So we can get to that later, but how are you doing first and foremost?
I'm doing amazing. The first week at my new job was bomb diggity. You know what I did? I did a sculpture of the infinity symbol. Like sculpture like in Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze, God rest his soul, Ghost, like sculpting. It was so cool. It was one of the classes that we were taking, so it was just amazing. Other work is doing good. Bras and panties are always on the up and up. And just life's treating me really well. I've been getting up at 4:30 every morning.
4:30?
4:30.
Why?
Yeah, I thought I beat you because I know you get up at 5. So I'm like, you know what? JR gets up at 5. I'm getting up at 4:30.
It's not a competition, buddy.
I meditate. I do a meditation for 15 minutes. And then I get up. I'll do some devotion with my mama. And then I do some yoga, 20 minutes to 30 minutes of yoga on YouTube. It's Chris Stakas yoga. She's just like a chill brunette, like just chill.
Who?
I think it's Chris. How do you say her name? Christakas. It's not Christina. It's like Christakas yoga.
Oh, okay.
She does half the yoga, and she posts videos like twice a week. So I've been doing her videos, the beginner stuff. My downward dog sucks. Like it's awful. Like my arms are so weak that I'll have to go into a child's pose like immediately. Like as soon as I hear a crick crack from my shoulders,
wow, you're like, oh, child.
I'm tight. I'm like child's pose. Can't do this. Can't do this.
I'm still going to the class.
Shavasana's my favorite.
Shavasana. Oh my god, this girl.
You just have to lay there.
This girl, I like a shavasana.
I like a good shavasana.
Oh my gosh, I still go to the classes, so I don't really jump into child's pose too often because I'm like, no, I'm gonna tough it out.
I don't tough it out because I'm home alone. Like there's nobody watching me. You know what I mean? Wow. Like I'm by myself. So
I was recommended yoga with Adrienne. I haven't looked at her yet.
Oh, I might check that out.
I haven't looked yet. I was recommended like a couple days ago, so I haven't looked it out. But I'm going to look it up and just see how she does. She's on a YouTube. She's got a YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. She's been recommended by a bunch of the ladies on my dodgeball team. So
okay, yoga with you. Let me write that down after the show. I'll look it up. But yeah, things are going well. Eating healthy. Gonna have a healthy meal tonight with JR, and I'm eating healthier.
Who says I'm cooking? You keep thinking I'm cooking for you. Like, I don't understand.
I'm getting some of that mac and cheese. Like, you know what's happening.
You like
whatever.
vegetables?
I love vegetables.
Okay.
I bought some vegetables from M&M Meats the other day, and they're delicious. Root vegetables. So, yeah, I'm all about vegetables now. It's springtime.
Why are you eating root vegetables in the spring?
I'm eating root vegetables in the spring. I'm eating some carrots and some mushrooms. I'm doing the most, guys. Like, honestly, I'm doing the most. I'm trying to get I fixed my hair. I'm not saying I fixed it. I can't do that because, like, natural hair just was not for me. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, I got a perm. I got back to the creamy crack, but that's about it for me. Let's talk about mental health.
Let's do it.
Mental health versus mental illness. So I was saying you have high mental health, but low to no mental illness. Whereas, for instance, right now, at least in the last 18 days of meditation, I've had high mental health.
Yeah.
And high mental illness because I'm still, at the end of the day, bipolar.
Got it.
And then there's the example of the person that has, let me see if I get this right, low mental health and high mental illness. That's also a possibility.
Low, which is what you asked me, low mental health and high mental illness.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that would be someone that, for the most part, is functional in their day. You know, their behavior, their interactions with, well, their social connections, I would say, and the things they do on a daily basis are still fine, but they may be suffering from something like deep
ADD.
Okay, yeah, ADHD, depression, anxiety, and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know, like, back and forth between the two of us, I know myself. I'm just going to talk about myself. I have not been accurate in the use of the terms mental illness and mental health throughout the time we've been podcasting. I know, like, I constantly always question it in the middle of it when we have guests and such.
Whether to use condition or issue or
but, you know, all the different words. But when it comes down to fundamentally, I'm thinking now that we should get it right.
Yeah,
well, I should get it right. I should get it right.
I know I got it right. I know I got it right.
You got it right.
But this came up for me because I read an article from Psychology Today. You know, I'm on that tip all the time. The difference between mental health and mental illness. And a lot of people use the words interchangeably. And that's the problem. You know, they don't know how to define mental health versus mental illness. And I do have a definition for it.
Okay, let's hear it.
So we'll start with mental health. Mental health is the ability to solve problems. Fulfills one capacity for love and work. Cope with a crisis without assistance beyond the support of family and friends.
Yep.
Maintain a well-being by enjoying life, setting goals and realistic limits.
Okay.
So that's just a definition of mental health.
Okay. I'm in.
Some of the factors influencing mental health, though, are obviously going to be like your experiences in childhood.
I have like a love-hate relationship with that idea because they're like everything stems from your childhood.
But if you think about it, it really does. I mean, there's also a couple other ones, but we'll start with the experience in childhood.
Okay.
No, actually, forget that. We'll start with inherent, like the genetics.
Okay. Yeah,
so
let's do that.
For me, coming from the country I come from, we don't record who has the mental illness is not a thing. I don't know if it's a thing right now in Guyana, but it wasn't a thing in 1982. It wasn't a thing in 2000. If I had stayed there when I had it, like, it's not a thing. You put people in a hospital, you don't necessarily make record of what they have. So I don't know my mental health history when it comes to my family, but I could infer, based on my family makeup, that the mental health comes from one side, whereas my previous addiction issues would come from another side. You know, I'm not going to just name which side because I'm not putting my family on blast, but I'm just saying one comes from one side, one comes from the other.
How can you be certain that they don't both come from the same side? I'm just throwing that curveball out there because you can't be certain.
You can't be certain. That's the thing. There's no records. But for some people, fortunately for them, they have records. They have a mother who's schizophrenic and they turn out to be schizophrenic. Or they have a father who's bipolar and they turn out to be bipolar. Or their grandfather was bipolar. I'm just saying we in our family didn't have that luxury.
Okay. So for example, so now we're saying that mental illness, some of it can be hereditary.
Biological, chemical.
Genetics. And such. So... But
so
also,
if you have sorry, go ahead.
But can it also be environmental?
It could definitely be environmental, and that's what I'm saying with the whole, like, childhood thing.
Nurture, nature.
Like nature versus nurture. Like, what did you inherit, and what did you learn from your environment? So if you have a positive environment, a positive relationship with your parents, a positive relationship with your siblings if you have siblings, healthy forms of communication between your family members, your family, your father, your mother showing interest in the things that you do on a daily basis, then you're probably going to grow up to have good mental health.
Fair enough.
But if on the flip side, you're in an environment where there's some issues with your parents, there's maybe some maternal neglect or paternal neglect, or, you're just in a poor living space. There's failures in communication because you're living in a space of neglect. There could be abuse, there could be violence, there could be any number of things. You're probably going to grow up, unless you really have the will strength and power within yourself to, overcome that. There may be a period of time where you're going to have, bad mental health, which may lead to mental illness. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee.
Okay, now we've had some guests on the show that have spoken about how their childhoods were fantastic, but they still ended up with some sort of mental health illness.
Illness, yes.
Mental illness.
You're getting it, JR.
Mental illness, not a mental health issue, a mental illness. So, I mean, it there's no rhyme or reason to how this stuff happens. Oh, I just want to put that out there.
I mean, it could be social factors. You could have a failed marriage or have something like stressors. A lot. I know when Emily was on. Hi, Emily. Hi, hun. Can't wait to have coffee with you. We're having coffee next week. So when Emily was on, she was talking about dealing with school, how she was having a difficult time in school, and the stress was causing her, depression and anxiety. Right? So it could be social and those kind of environmental factors. It could be the fact that you're unemployed. You haven't been able to find employment for whatever reason. There's different factors.
Yeah, like it's the real world sometimes.
The real world
for
can
millennials,
kick you in the ass.
The real world kicks you in the ass.
Everyone doesn't get a ribbon.
No more participation medals.
No, honey. Everyone doesn't get a ribbon. No, everyone doesn't get a ribbon. So, there's so many factors that I think are involved in whether you have good mental health or bad mental health. But again, whether you have good or bad mental health, mental illness is always a possibility. That doesn't discriminate between race, culture, creed, sex, anything. It does not discriminate. Mental illness it's real and it's serious. And I hate that people interchange. And I don't want to say hate because I don't hate anybody at all. But, interchange the word mental health and mental illness because the two are completely different things, guys. As I said, mental health, when someone has good mental health, they have certain qualities, they have certain abilities. They show different ways to react in their relationships than, say, someone who has a mental illness. But the question isn't necessarily when you have mental health, it's how do you keep your mental health? Like, I'm going to ask you because you're literally one of the mentally healthiest people that I know. So I'm going to look to you. Yeah, really, honestly, like, I think my mental health has gotten better just being around you so much, like, for this podcast. Like, it's gotten better.
I would think I'm more of a toxic person to, like, when it comes to, like, mental.
No, not at all.
Health.
Not mental, no, because you have to remember, like, I don't think you remember how much you've done, for me in my mental illness. Like, especially in this last year and a half. Like, anytime I need, to exhibit self-care, you've been supportive of that. You know what I mean? And I see you. I see what you've done. You know, I just recently started coloring. Guys, check out my Instagram, Best Monique. I'm plugging it right now. I recently started coloring. My new favorite thing to do. I can't wait to get home tonight to color. Right? And I remember you telling me once, do the things that you love to do. And I had to go back to my childhood and think, what did I love the most? I loved reading, of course. I love imagination and imagining, but I also enjoyed coloring. I wasn't an active person. I didn't kick the ball around. You know, I might have did a little, you know, double dutch, a little jump rope. You know, every girl's done a little double dutch, you know, but for the most part, I was like a thinker. Like I was a little itty bitty thinker. And I like to do things like color and imagine and read books. So, you know, that's what I've started doing. And you gave me that advice so long ago, but sometimes people with mental illness, they don't hear.
I mean, it also might have been, you know, seeing is believing. Because you saw me last summer where I kind of worked my behind off so I could take some time off during the summer, and you saw me, you know, doing all the things that I relived my childhood last summer, and I guess you saw how what position it put me in at family reunions and stuff like that, where I'm like, I was just totally happy, like not a care in the world. So I guess it's just by leading from by example. I guess I do have decent mental health.
And what do you do to maintain that? Like, what do you do? I think I probably might have asked you this on another episode, but I'm going to ask you again because I want to hear it again.
My dating life has standards.
Standards, people. Standards.
No, that was just a joke. Well, the truth, but I'm not dating.
You're like, no.
No. I keep dating life out of my life right now.
For sure.
I'm focused on you know, the things that I'm passionate about, that mean something to me. I just constantly just trying to build myself, you know, as a human, as a man, as a person in society, as a Canadian, you know. I just...
Good old Canucks.
Not if you're from Vancouver. I'm a Leaf guy. But I don't know, I just try to focus on maintaining what is good for me, and I guess I don't want to call my past relationships toxic, because I think that's a very that word has
I think it's overused.
It's overused and it's very heavy, and I don't think of the relationships as toxic, because
toxins kill you.
Yeah, toxins kill you. I think of them as just being able to learn from different people about myself, because what all those relationships had in common was me. So I got to, I'm just taking all the things that happened in my life and just being able to reflect on them and becoming self-aware. And just, you know, relaxing and taking my time and not taking anything too personal has been how I maintain my mental health. I think that's the best way. Just not taking myself too personal and too serious, and going with the flow and enjoying myself and realizing that, you know what, like, you know, things happen in their time and I'm happy. Yeah. And I try and impart that on you. I try and ensure that you're not just, you know, keep your levels.
Yeah, I've been excited lately.
Yeah, there's no need to be excited. You're not that special.
Excited. I'm not special. I'm reading. Is it Jason Manson?
Who?
It's Jason.
Which book?
Manson. The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. Mark's not Mason Manson. Mark Manson. Yeah.
He's the author of that.
I've been reading that, and I've realized I am not that special.
Oh, and you're reading it finally?
I'm almost done, actually. Oh, we should talk about it. I'm almost done.
We should have an episode we just talk about that.
Where we just talk about that. That would be cool. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. He talks about mental health in there. Guys, if you haven't picked this book up, you need to. It'll change your life. It's changing mine as we speak. So, you know, these are the things I'm doing for my mental health. You know, I'm doing a lot more reading, as I said. You know, I'm doing adult coloring. I have a coloring book called the Color Me Effing Calm. I'm not swearing because my mom's listening. Okay, guys. So, like, she told me to stop swearing on the podcast, and I'm just going to listen to my mother because she's my mother and I love her. So, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F and Color Me Effing Calm have really been like my salvation. And my Muse meditation headset. They're not paying me to advertise for Muse, but this has made meditation so much easier for me. I'm kind of like a meditator in training, because I can't really do it without the headset yet, but it's been really good. It's been really good for me. So as structure, I've learned that I'm a lister. You know what a lister is? Someone who makes a lot of lists?
No, I have no idea what that
is. I'm a lister now. I make to-do lists. I did like 19 things the other day. I had to go talk to my social worker and be like, I think I might be manic. Like, I'm doing the most right now. So it's like, even reflecting on things like that is good for my mental health. Like, I do have, currently that high mental health, but high mental illness. So I have to recognize within myself, when the mania is creeping up on me. And these last couple of weeks, I've been doing the most, 19, 20 things in a day and walking everywhere, walking like 10,000 steps in an hour. Like, it's been... I know there's a thin line between
if you're doing
crazy
10,000 steps in an hour, I'm gonna call you Usain Bolt. Like, that's not happening.
Maybe it was not an hour. No, it
Probably
wasn't an hour.
day.
It was like a day.
Yeah,
no, it was like 13,000 steps in a day.
Yeah, that's
because I walked from I can't say because you shouldn't know where my situation is, but I walked like basically an hour from my house to one of the local hospitals in Toronto. And it took an hour from my house. So you do the math. You figure it out. That's a riddle for you guys. So I walked an hour and it was
Monica
good.
leaves
If Monica leaves the train station.
Y.
Is that calculus? What is that? What is that? Algebra? I don't know. I don't remember math. Come on, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm trying my very best to do as much for my mental health as possible, but I gotta watch out for that hairy monster that's
so what are you doing about your mental illness?
What am I doing about my mental illness?
Because
taking my meds?
Because mental illnesses are illnesses that are diagnosed by professionals, and they affect the way people behave and interact with others.
Exactly.
Right? So we want to... I guess the goal for anybody with mental illness is to lead a life that is... I don't want to use the word normal, but...
No, nobody's normal.
Nobody's normal. So a life that is...
Fulfilling
and within the range of...
reality?
Of everyday society.
Yeah, in the range of reality. Because people with mental illness don't see the world, for what it is, and the people in it.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't see the world for what it is, and regardless of what your mental health or mental illness conditions are. Like, I mean, there are naive people out there, like your niece believes in the Easter Bunny.
She still believes in the Tooth Fairy. God love her.
Yeah, see,
she doesn't know it's my mom. With mental illness, I think what it is that it's basically the exact opposite, of mental health. So when you have maladaptive behavior, or you have, and just a quick definition of that, you know what maladaptive behavior means, don't you?
I didn't even catch the last thing you said.
Sorry, what were you doing?
I'm listening to you. I didn't hear what you like the words where they sounded.
No,
slurred.
I was saying, like mental health. Basically, mental illness is the exact opposite of mental health.
Mental illness is the opposite of mental health.
So when you have the factors like the poor environment growing up, you have the genetics, and it's a defect, like, so a chemical imbalance, like, for instance, what I have going on with me, and your environment, the environment that you're in is, you have maladaptive behaviors towards the environment that you're in.
I completely disagree with you. I'm going to stop you there. I normally won't cut you off, but
that's okay.
I think that health isn't like an on and off switch. Like, everybody has health. So everybody has mental health.
For sure.
Everybody has to deal with their mental health. Everyone has to deal with, their emotions, their feelings, their ability to solve problems and overcome difficulties. People have to deal with their social connections. And with everyone has to deal with those things. So everyone has to deal with mental health. You cannot turn health on and off. So I don't think it's the opposite of mental health and illness that are opposites. Mental illness affects the way people think, behave, and interact, and from what we're talking about. We're not experts, by the way,
and we're not. We're absolutely not.
From what I'm thinking is more along mental illness is based on genetics, based off of environmental surroundings, physical. It's
social.
Well, not necessarily. I don't think mental illness is social. You're not getting, unless it's drug-induced psychosis. Okay, social.
That's social.
Okay, that's social. You know what? So then mental illness can be induced by a bunch of different factors. But I think that not everyone suffers from mental illness. Everyone suffers from mental health.
Or everyone has mental health.
Everyone has mental health. challenges. Everyone has mental health prosperity. Everyone has mental health adversities. But not everyone suffers from mental illness. So I don't think you can say that they're opposites. I know sometimes we could talk about things on spectrums, but I don't think that they're on the same spectrum. I think they're on separate spectrums.
I think they're on the same spectrum. I think one's at one end and the other one's at the other end.
No, because mental health is not. If you have a mental illness, I don't think it might not necessarily affect your mental health. And if you have a mental health issue, it might not necessarily affect mental illness. So if I wake up and I'm feeling emotionally down, I'm feeling brain fog and I can't, formulate opinions or answers. I'm having a day that is having problems with my mental health. Okay. But that doesn't mean I have schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. So they can't be in the same conversation. They are in the same conversation, but they're not. But just because you have bipolar disorder does not mean that when you wake up one morning and you can't solve a problem that you have, it is specifically related to your bipolar disorder. No. So I don't think that they're not necessarily, and just because you're having a good day on from your bipolar disorder does not mean that's a good mental health day. So I don't think they're on the same spectrum.
I kind of feel that they are on the same spectrum, because if we all have mental health, and that's the continuum, that's the line in which we're basing everything on. So good mental health, whereas we have, I want to say maybe bad mental health in the middle, and then at the very end, mental illness. So like you're talking about the person that has mental health but has a bad mental health day, they'd be somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. They're having a bad mental health day, but at the very, almost think of it red to green, and red being green being go, yellow being the bad, and red being 5-alarm fire. So mental illness. So that's kind of what I think it looks like. I think mental health is on one end. When you have good mental health and emotional maturity, you're on one end. But bad mental health is kind of in the middle, because going backwards from the spectrum, you could have, be bipolar, for instance, like me, and be having, like you said, an episode, get over that episode, be going through something like a depression and have just bad mental health, but not have the seriousness of a manic episode, just the part where I'm more depressive. So I'd have my situation would be bad mental health. So I just really think it's more of a spectrum than one separated from the other. If that's what you were trying to say?
I hear what you're saying. I think what you're saying is it leads to the major confusion amongst most people in the general population. Mental health, mental illness. Mental illness, you either have one or you don't. And if you have one, now you are on a spectrum of whether it is in remission or is under control, or whether it's active and you're suffering from it. That's your spectrum right there.
Okay.
Mental health, everyone has mental health from the day you're born to the day you die. And you can be on good days and you can be on bad days. And on bad days of mental health, you may feel suicidal, but that doesn't mean that you are suffering from a mental illness, right? So I don't think that they're on the same spectrum. I don't think they're on the same. It's the same line. They're two different things.
Would you say it's an axis then?
I mean, you could plot them on an axis, absolutely, but I don't think that when we're talking about them that they are necessarily one and the same or belong in the same conversation, because every single person is subjective to their mental health. Everyone has to deal with their emotions. So if your cat dies, you're going to be emotional. You're going to be sad, and rightfully so. But that doesn't mean that you have clinical depression. No, something sad happened to you, and you feel emotional about it. Your mental health is in flux. Mentally, you're like, you know what? I'm just not with it today. I feel I don't feel normal because I'm going through this thing that happened to me, because this person that was a part of my family, this animal that's part of my family, is no longer with me. That is mental health. Mental illness. Now, if you are mentally ill, that satication for your mental health might be a trigger.
Yeah.
To your mental illness from what I'm understanding after all this time that we're talking. I think that might be the case
for sure.
But I don't think that we should talk about them is one and the same. Because, everyone goes through the health aspect. Not everyone is familiar with or is touched by the illness aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And just because you're having a bipolar episode does not mean that you're in bad mental health.
That's true.
Right? Like, all your feelings, your emotions might be in check. You might be able to still have some reason, but bipolar disorder says that you're going to make questionable decisions, and you still might do those. So, but after the fact, you can still sit back and say, shit, that wasn't a great decision. That wasn't something that I should have been doing.
That was questionable.
That was questionable. And if you have that type of rationalization or ability to, decipher between what is right and wrong, but still choose wrong, I mean, I would say you're in good mental health, but you have a mental illness. Mm-hmm. This also, I guess, connects to the whole conversation we had about is someone criminally responsible or not criminally responsible. Mm-hmm. Well, mental health, I don't think, is a justification of being criminally responsible or not criminally responsible. You were depressed today, so you killed someone?
No,
sorry, go to jail.
Fly.
Go to jail, right? Oh, you have schizophrenia and you killed somebody? We have to have a conversation now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it might be go to jail. It might be being institutionalized. It may be let's let this person back inside. But we're gonna have if it's mental illness that caused something, let's have a conversation. If it's your mental illness, you're rational. I think that's like kind of where I'm looking at it from, the vantage point I'm looking at it from. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's wrong, but I think it's perspective.
It's definitely a perspective. But I don't want us to ever separate, like, when it comes to depression and anxiety, like, those ones are...
No, but like I said, clinically depressed versus someone that's
having a bad day.
You were situationally depressed. Or, like, I'm looking at, like, some people that have chronic depression, that's a mental illness. But I was depressed because my cat died. I was depressed because my grandmother died. And, those are the realities of life. And they are sad times, and we have to deal with them, but they are not illnesses. They're dealing with that's more so dealing with our health and our emotions and, our feelings.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you. Do you believe it's important to have emotional maturity when it comes to mental health?
Emotional maturity.
Do you need a definition?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got one for you. Give me a second. Mm-hmm. Emotional maturity. The ability to deal with reality constructively. The capacity to adapt to change. Relative freedom from symptoms produced by tension and anxiety. The capacity to find satisfaction in giving rather than receiving. The ability to relate to others in a consistent manner with mutual satisfaction and helpfulness. The capacity to redirect, and this is the big one, the capacity to redirect instinctive hostile energy into creative and constructive outlets, and the capacity to love. So that is an emotionally mature person. I've got maybe 5 of those things down.
Can you go through those again? I was listening, but I'm like, I didn't like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So emotional maturity, guys. The ability to deal with reality constructively.
Okay.
The capacity to accept change.
Okay.
Relative freedom from symptoms produced by tensions and anxieties.
Okay.
The capacity to find more satisfaction in giving than receiving.
Yeah.
The ability to relate to others in a consistent manner with mutual satisfaction and helpfulness.
Okay.
The capacity to redirect instinctive hostile energy into creative and constructive outlets.
Okay.
And the capacity to love.
Okay.
So, back to my question.
Yep.
Do you think it's important to have emotional maturity when it comes to your mental health, or even when it comes to mental illness?
Well, I think it's good to have all those qualities as a human being. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, those are qualities of a good human being.
I think that goes back to what you were saying about the... what were you saying?
Quote me.
I'm not trying to quote you, JR. I'm not trying to quote you. But not everybody... I think what I interpreted from it was that not everyone's going to have good mental health. And I think the reason that is because they're missing emotional maturity.
Okay. I mean, that's...
It's
huge.
bold.
Well,
It's bold. It's a bold statement. I'm just making a bold statement.
If I'm going to just
off the cuff.
Off the cusp,
Off
just a
the
high
cuff.
level, I'm
Cuff.
going to be like, you know what? Cuff. Emotional, what was the word you said?
Emotional maturity.
Emotional maturity is subjective based off of what society you live in.
What do you mean? What are you saying to me?
Well, what you define as emotional maturity here in the West is not necessarily the same thing that someone would define as emotional maturity in another part of the world.
Okay, fair.
So that's what I'm saying. It's subjective. And then living in a multicultural city like Toronto, we have people coming from all over the world. Emotional maturity, there's no true definition in this city because everyone's from all over the place. And people, we're allowed to keep our customs and our ideals. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's very challenging to come up with a true or a unique definition of emotional maturity because in some cultures, some things are spoken about, in some cultures some things aren't spoken about, and to some degree that might be a good thing, and to some degree that might be a bad thing, but who knows, because I don't know, I'm not the overall judge here.
Okay, I think it's a good thing. I like the definition. I liked it when I read it. That's why I wrote it down. I liked it when I read it. That's why I wrote it down. But it's a good definition. I try to adhere to that, but I think the one that I'm missing is definitely not the capacity to love, because I adore everyone. The hostile emotions, when you have hostile emotions, putting it into a constructive area and it's not like an outlet. I'm not quick to anger, but when I get angry, I get really immature. I get really not immature. I get really just my mouth flies. Someone almost hit me with their bike the other day, and I had to exhibit emotional maturity in that moment. He was like, "I'm so sorry," and then I said to myself, "Oh, Nika, he said sorry," and he looks really contrite. So I just took it in. I did have screw face on, but I took it in and I said, "You know what, sir? It's okay," and I kept walking. So I'm learning. I think I'm constantly trying to learn how to be an emotionally mature person. I think the best way sometimes to show emotional maturity is probably to look at those around you and see, are they doing the same thing? I look at JR sometimes and I'm like, he's emotionally mature. I know he is. He knows he is. And he shares with me little nuggets every now and again about how to grow as a person. That's why I F's with him so hard. That's why I F's with him so hard.
Is this a promote JR segment right now?
No, I just feel good about I'm just feeling good about you today. Just take it in.
I'm gonna accept it because this doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen very often. Yeah, but he'll drop these nuggets of wisdom and and I'll learn from them, and that to me is when you want to always be growing, that's when you can show emotional maturity in my mind. But the ability to deal with the world realistically and constructively, again, learning. And the anxieties one, that's the one I'm probably missing the most, because I still get really, really anxious over a lot of things. And again, I'm on a path and I'm on a road where I think that's no longer going to be the case for most things. As I said, I'm reading that awesome book, The Subtle Art, and it's teaching me about just letting go and not giving an F about things that don't matter, things that are out of my control. So it's making me more emotionally mature, and I hope the other books that I bought from Chapters will do the same.
That was like a little rant there. I'm like,
sorry about that. I was really feeling. Like, I caught the spirit.
You just
I caught the spirit. I caught the spirit. Let me tell you, I said a prayer the other day. It was my mama. I caught the spirit. It was I don't know. I didn't know I had it in me. So yeah, I've been praying. It happens. I don't go to church. I didn't say I didn't believe in the good Lord. Like, that's not what I said. I just don't go to his house. That's all. He don't come to mine. I don't go to his. But sometimes we talk to each other. That's all. That's what's up.
All right. So thank you so much for listening to us this week. We truly appreciate you.
You just cut me right the F on.
Yeah. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts,
give us 5. You deserve a 5.
Thank you so much. If you're listening to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, thank you so much. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, we thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you for the feedback. We truly, 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 truly appreciate it. Oh, are you going to talk about the emails that we've received?
Yes, we got 2 emails. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, America and the UK. It's Mental Health Month. May is Mental Health Month in America, and it's not in Canada. It's October, but we love our American cousins, and I'm so sorry we didn't get to know if we could give your name, but I know you're out there. I know you're listening, and I apologize for not recognizing Mental Health Month in America, which is in May. I hope you guys are spreading the good word about mental health and mental illness and the differences between the two. And Mental Health Awareness Week was the 13th to the 19th in the UK. So to all my UK listeners, I hope for you the same thing, that you've been spreading the good word and about mental health and mental illness and the difference between the two. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been the dish of the day. I hope you have yourselves a very, very, very happy